Oh, hey guys, good to see you. We've been working in the yard all day. Even Baxter's a little tired. Hey, thanks for hanging out close, keeping us safe, man. No goggles needed out here. Whew! Welcome, kids, to Mr. Patrick's Laboratory. We're having a great time. We've been working in the yard. Hey, in the last episode, man, Miss Christie's working me hard. In the last episode, we were in our backyard. We were talking about different flowers. We're talking about plants. And we looked at a bunch of different flowers and all the different parts. Today, we're working in the front yard. Just getting stuff done. It's just Miss Christie and myself here. So we're just hanging out, working on stuff that needs to be done around the house. Hey, I'll show you some of the things we're working on. Hey, remember in the last video, we were talking about plants. There's some stuff we're looking to get done here, the front yard. Hey, these are some pretty plants. I forget, Miss Christie, begonias?
Yes, sir.
They're begonias. We talked about how plants have flowers on them. Now, not all plants do. You'll see that some of these plants don't. But these begonias have lots and lots of these pink flowers on. As a matter of fact, in the last video, we looked at all the different parts. You'll see that there are some are starting to bud. Remember, there was different parts we talked about. The sepal, you could see on the outside. And then you can see the petals. And then on the inside, you can see the anthers and you see the stigma. If you take that plant, if you take that flower apart. Now, I'm not going to take this one apart because Miss Christie just bought these and I want to be able to live at this house. So I'm going to leave that one alone. But I'm also going to show you some different things that we're going to be doing that aren't flowering plants. Matter of fact, in today's, what we're going to really be doing, we're going to be talking about plants that we eat. And if you're like me, I like to eat. And we're having a great time. We're going to talk about all these different things. Now, you'll notice I don't have my lab coat on and I don't have my goggles on because we're in the biggest laboratory. We're outdoors. Now, in the last video, I asked you to put some comments at the below of some of the plants and some of the flowers and some of the things you found. I hope you learned some things. You probably even put that app on your phone that was called Seek by iNaturalist, that you could go look in your neighborhood and around your area when you and your family are out walking and seeing all the different things that are around. Now, remember, there's some things we had to keep straight. I got my sunscreen on today. I have my hat on to keep the sun off me. I can wear my glasses if I want to, but I'm standing sort of in a shaded area right now that I don't need those. But remember, safety all the time. Now, we're going to be talking about a little bit different things today. We're going to be talking about things like this, okay? Now, you think, but I don't have a garden in my house. We don't either. Okay, you'll see this one's called rosemary, okay? This one's actually used in some of our foods. We cook with it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some different things that are going on. Now, everybody eats different kinds of food and everybody likes different kinds of things. Now, one of the things she bought was rosemary and I just showed that. Did it have flowers on it? No, that one doesn't happen to in this case. She also bought some of these. Now, Miss Christie, we're going to have to plant these pretty quick. These are onions, okay? Now, it's a bulb that's on the end, okay? And you can see all the roots down here. They dry out and you can bring them as soon as you plant them. It even tells you on there how to grow them. Put them in, get water on them, they start growing, okay? We eat the tops of this plant. We eat the bottoms of this plant, okay? It's used in some of our foods. You may think, I don't pull that out of the ground and just eat it, but it's used in the foods that we cook with, okay? And so Miss Christie's done some different things here out front. Oh, here's something really cool. We were digging in the yard and look what we found. This is a wild onion, okay? It was just growing in our garden and it's not one that we actually eat, but I've actually had those sometimes grow in my yard. And when I hit them with the mower, whoo, it smells like onions everywhere. Look how long that thing is,
Look at the end.
okay? At the very, very end down there, okay? And you can see that bloom. It'll actually bloom on the end, but it's a wild onion. Look how long that thing is, okay? It's not one we're actually growing in order to eat, but it's a wild onion. We actually found that in the yard. How ironic. She bought some. God, it smells. Oh, it's on my hands too. Boy, I'm lucky. Okay, and so there's some other things I want to show you. There's going to be things like this, which is basil, and we actually cook with these. I'm going to show you here in a minute, okay? This one's basil, okay? And there's some different ones. These are cilantro. Hey, you like Mexican food? My wife does. Woo, Miss Christie really likes Mexican food, okay? And there's all these different, now these fall into a category called herbs, okay? Now you're gonna see that if you don't protect them and you don't get them in the ground pretty quickly, you're gonna see that sometimes there's gonna be holes in them. Bugs get to them because bugs eat plants too, and they're looking for food. And so we're gonna have to make sure, Miss Christie, we get these grown pretty quick and put somewhere and we can protect them so that the bugs don't get to them before we do. Now, you may think, hey, I don't have a garden at my house. I don't have a lot of room. And we really don't either. We have part of a backyard, but we don't want to have a full garden. And so we did something a little bit different. Now check out what Miss Christie did on the wall. And these are just little planters. Maybe you can do something like this, okay? And so she has these planters put on the wall. Now I want you to check out the names. rosemary, basil, there's nothing there. Why? They're over there. Okay? They're over there. We're going to plant them in this space. Thyme. Now it looks like a TH, but it's actually pronounced thyme. Oregano. That's used in Italian foods a lot. Okay? This one is sweet mint. My wife loves this. This is actually right off. Okay? Tastes like mint. Okay? You can, because it's called mint. And you can actually, that's an edible plant. And then she puts it in her tea to have mint. Boy, it almost tastes like when you have mint bubble gum. Okay, I haven't really thrown that in my mouth before. Okay, that's a new one for me. It tastes like chewing gum, like the mint. When you have spearmint, it has that mint taste to it. That's pretty cool. And so she put this in her tea just to have flavoring. And then there's peppermint. And so there's different ones that she has here on the wall. Now, there's some other things that you can grow other than these, but these are herbs that are actually cooked with. Okay, so you can cook with them. Miss Christie, is it in my teeth? I hope not. Okay, but we're going to go inside and we're going to check out some other stuff before we go in. Hey, remember these from the other day? There's some other flowers. These are petunias. Those are pretty. Nope. What are those?
Those are pansies.
Pansies. I got close. I'm sorry. Those are pansies. You can see the pretty yellow color. Those don't last forever. They're going to die off pretty soon here in the sun. Okay, but let's go inside. We're going to talk some more about these edible plants that you and I have. Come on, Baxter. Hey, Baxter. All right, come on. Let's go inside. Bring security in. All right, here's what we're going to do. A little hand sanitizer because it smells like onions. And so, remember from the other day, Nurse John said you need to make sure you put it on both sides of your hands and rub it until it's dry. Okay, not going to rub it on my pants. Okay, so we're going to come over here to the kitchen. Back to the laboratory. Back to the laboratory. Oh, man. If I'm going to have the laboratory, I should have my laboratory coat. I'll be right back. Don't need my goggles for today, but I definitely need my laboratory if we're going to be in Mr. Patrick's laboratory. All right, now, here's what we're going to do real quick. Quick reminder. We looked at this in the last video. Quick reminder, there are three main parts of plants. Roots, stems, and leaves. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the parts of plants that we sometimes eat. Now, when it comes to roots, stems, and leaves, it's really important that we make sure we know which are which. So I'm going to start, I'm going to do them in that order. We're going to do roots, and then stems that we eat, and then leaves. So let's start with these. Do you know what any of these are? You know what that is? Give you a second to look at that. Bet you know. It comes off like that. Yeah, it's an onion. Okay? It's a root. It's a bulb. They call it a bulb. It grows underground. And so when it's underground, it'll have a big stem that comes out. And when you harvest it, this is the part we eat. Now, you saw some little ones out front, but this is a different kind of onion. Okay? What are those? Yeah, those are carrots. Those are a root also. Okay? And maybe you've seen one like Bugs Bunny eats or something like that. But these are little tiny ones. Okay? They've been cleaned up. We bought them at the store ready to eat. We didn't grow these at home. None of this did we really grow here. We buy it because these are things we eat. What about these? Check out that crazy potato. Huh. I wonder why it's doing that. Well, this is a root. And this is a root. This is a sweet potato. And you can see some of it, the little tiny root hairs that are coming off of it. And this is garlic. Okay? All of these are roots. But I want to talk about this one here for a second. It was sitting in the bag a little bit too long, had a little bit of moisture. And what is it doing? It's starting to sprout. I could actually take that and put it in a pot and let it grow. And what would happen? I'd have a potato plant. Okay? And so maybe I could cut that part off, and then there's another part on the other end of it, and I can plant them, and maybe I can get 2 or 3 potato plants and let them grow. Okay? So one of the experiments that you may have, and you're going to have a choice, is what's the adventure this time? Well, we had a field trip to my backyard yesterday, and you're supposed to go into your neighborhood. Okay? And so we started in my front yard this time, and we worked inside. Why? We're going to talk about these things that we eat, but I have something for you. I want you to pick something that maybe you can grow at home. It doesn't have to be in a big container. Maybe it's something small. I wonder how big that potato plant would grow. I bet somebody can do that. And show me your pictures. It's going to take a little while. Does this grow real fast? Not really fast. But over the next couple of weeks while we meet, you can send me some pictures, see what's happening. That's one option. But again, we have garlic, we have sweet potatoes, and you may think, I don't eat all of those. Sometimes they're cooked into our food. So these are roots. What are the parts? Roots, stems. Okay, this one's an interesting one, and this just happens to be one at my house. Do you know what that is? That's really interesting looking, almost like, yeah, that's a cinnamon stick. Okay, and we have ground up cinnamon that we have. Some people are allergic to it, but in this case, we cook with it. Okay, we bake with it. But this is what's really interesting. I want you to look at my picture. See that stem right there? Cinnamon is actually the bark on the outside of a cinnamon bush. Okay, I want you to look on the very end of it. Okay, if you look at it, it looks like it's rolled up like a ribbon, because it is. What they'll do is they'll scrape it off the outside of that shrub, and this is what we actually eat, is actually the stem of that plant. You grind it up into a powder and you have cinnamon that you and I can use for seasoning, but it's actually used here in the holidays a lot. A lot of people use this for decorations or cooking, okay, and different things you can do with it. But this is the bark of the tree, okay? It's the stem of the actual cinnamon bush. I wonder, this one's weird to me. Who decided that we would eat that? Somebody tasted it one time. And I guess it tasted good, and they said, everybody needs to have this. So we buy the cinnamon, and most of us have had it before. So we have roots, we have stems, and then we have leaves. Now, this is a basil leaf from the front yard, okay? Now, basil doesn't grow all the time. This is one of the ones we're growing outside. It doesn't grow all year long, okay? And you'll see that Miss Christie has some basil. So she bought some at the store. She poured it in here, and she wrote the words on it. But I want you to look at it when we buy it from the store, when it's a seasoning. They dry it out. There it is. And it's used as a seasoning. It's very strong, okay? It doesn't take a whole lot of it in order to have flavor, okay? But the leaves look like that. They dry it out. When they dry it out, they'll crush it up and it becomes the seasoning that we use, okay? So that one's basil. Here's another one. This is cilantro. She had some cilantro outside that we're going to grow because, again, Miss Christie really likes Mexican food, and cilantro is going to be found in hot sauce and different. It's found in lots of different foods, but it's found a lot in Mexican food, and she loves cilantro on her tacos and things like that. And then there's one called bay leaves. Now, this one's really interesting, okay? So bay leaves, we actually bought it at the store. We just put it in this container. Check that out. That looks like just a leaf off a tree. Well, that's what it is. It's a leaf off a bush. And it has flavor to it, okay? And we've learned how to cook with it. It has a really strong smell to it, okay? And so when it's used in a lot of different things, so when you read recipes and it tells you certain things you need to have in it, it's because it gives it flavor, okay? So we have roots, we have stems, and then we have leaves. Now I'm going to show you a bunch of different things after this point, okay? All right, so let's talk about these here for a minute, okay? Let's talk about, look at these peppers. I'm going to spin it around, okay? Maybe sometimes some of you like to eat peppers. There's a red pepper and an orange pepper. Do you think those came from the same bush? Probably not, okay? And so they're going to be different colors. Then this is a bell pepper. Now, Miss Christie had something she was cooking the other day with, so she had cut this bell pepper open and used part of it and put the rest of it back in the refrigerator in a baggie. And so when I saw that in the refrigerator, I said, oh yeah, we're going to use that. Look at all the seeds. Now, you remember from the last video when you and I talked about fruits, that a fruit protects the seed, okay? So inside of here, inside this big one, it's got seeds. Now, let's think about something here for a second, okay? So let's say there was a bell pepper plant and somebody wasn't growing it. It was just growing out in the wild somewhere. And the bell pepper grows on it, and eventually the bell pepper falls off on the ground. Well, what's going to happen after it sits there? It's going to rot, right? Well, what's inside of this? Seeds. Okay, and those seeds can regrow new plants. Fruits on things. Now, this isn't sweet like a fruit like an apple or a banana or an orange or anything like that. But the fruit, this is what comes from that plant. Remember, there has to be a flower first, and then it becomes what's going to be on the plant. It's going to, in this case, it's a bell pepper. Okay, did you catch this from the last video? This was really cool. When you have an apple, you get an apple tree. That makes sense. But actually, when you eat an apple, it's the ovary of that flower. All of them were ovaries of those plants. Okay, so in this case, at one time it was attached right here. There was a flower. And remember when the flower dies, then the plant starts to give nutrients to this and the ovary gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So when you eat a bell pepper, just like eating an apple, it's the fruit. Why? It's got the seed inside. It's protecting the seed. And on this plate, you can see all the seeds that are inside that bell pepper. And you would see seeds when you open this one or when you open this one. They all have seeds in them. Now, here's one that's really, really interesting. Do you know what that one is? Okay, that's an avocado. I'm gonna grab a knife because I'm gonna show you what's going on there. Okay, avocados can be eaten. Lots of people eat avocados. Okay, so I'm just gonna slice this thing all the way around real quick, being very, very careful, kids. You don't play with knives. Let your mom and dad or somebody help you. When you get that avocado, you twist it and it comes out. Okay, so there's your avocado. But check out this seed. Okay, look at that big old seed. Okay, here's a fun one if somebody wants to try this. If you have an avocado at home, okay, this is a cool one. Grow an avocado plant. How do you do that? Well, here's what you do is you take that seed, okay, you take that seed and you put toothpicks into it, okay, all the way around it, and then you set it into across a glass. So think about, whoops, hang on to that. And so you stick the toothpicks into it, and then you set it in a glass. And when you set it in the glass, you let it start to root, and you start to get roots, and you can put it in the ground and actually have your own avocado plant. Okay? And so avocados, interesting. Look how that's a big. Inside that avocado, that seed is huge. So when you had both parts, it was sitting inside like that. And when I opened it up, it had a really big seed. Does everything have big seeds like that? No. This one just has a really big seed. This one would be a really cool one for a kid to do and try this at home with your parents. I wonder how long it takes. I don't know. Check it out. That'd be a cool experiment to do while we're home. Okay, try that science experiment. I wonder if it grows. You know, the cool part is sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You've seen me do some experiments that didn't work very good. That's science. You try and see what happens. Here's an interesting one. You may think, those are pickles. Yeah. Do you grow pickles? No. The jars don't hang off a tree. But what happens is, these are cucumbers. Now cucumbers grow on a bush, sort of like some of these others on this plant. And all they did was when they got big enough, they took them off and they put them in vinegar. Okay? Sometimes you can have sweet pickles, you can have dill pickles, you have tiny pickles, you can have the really big pickles. Okay? And a lot of us like pickles. That came off a plant. Okay? Lots of cool ones. So we have roots and stems and leaves. And then we have these different things. Look how cool they are. God really knew what he was doing when he made all of these things, because they're ways for us to have things to eat. Okay? Check this out. I even brought a few fruits as well. There's those bananas. Miss Christie, you're going to have to make that banana bread pretty quickly. I'm getting hungry as I talk about food. There's that pear we talked about. Remember on the bottom you can see the actual, what was left of the flour? You can actually see the sepals right there. Man, remember, did you teach your parents? Did you show them that? I bet a lot of them didn't know. Matter of fact, on the banana, that's where the flowers were. The flowers were on the very end of the banana, okay? And so it's really cool how those things work out. Now, I want to show you something really crazy that happened the other night. The other night, Miss Christie was cooking a banana squash, okay? Nope, butternut squash. It's good if I use the right word. It's a butternut squash. And when she cut it open, she was getting ready to make something with it, and she said, Mr. Patrick, come here. Check this out. I've never seen this before. And so I saved it. Now, it's been sitting in a baggie for a little bit, so it's not exactly fresh, but check this out. When she cut it open, that's what was inside. Now, for some of us at Halloween, we'll take a pumpkin and we'll cut it open and get all those nasty seeds out of it, but I want you to see what was happening inside that butternut squash. It was actually starting to already germinate. Now, here's what's really cool, is it was like this inside. Whoops, I have that one upside down. Okay, it was inside. We cut all the other stuff off, and when she opened it, look what's happening. The seeds themselves. Okay, I'll pull one out so you can see it. Look at that. There's a group of them. Look at that. See that seed? That seed is already harvested, and it's starting to grow. If I put that in a planter, I'm going to have butternut squash. Okay, so there's another one you may think about, seeds. Think about things that have seeds in them. Could I grow something from it? How long would it take? How big would it get? Okay, there's all kinds of seeds. Look how many of them are growing. Man, I'm so glad that Miss Christie showed me these. Okay, open it up a little bit, see a little bit more. I had never seen that before. You know what? I'm learning stuff all the time too. That's the cool thing about science. We don't understand everything, but we're learning all the time. And so boys and girls, try some stuff. Now, I've got some other cool things for you to look at real quick. Okay? I like my fingers because I got all kinds of stuff on my hands. Does anybody know what this is? Anybody know what that is? They are sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds. Now, sunflower seeds, okay, different people eat them. We use them. When I played baseball, I had sunflower seeds. Okay? You can crack them and you can eat them and get the seed out of them. They're awesome. But did you notice the word? It was a sunflower seed. It's the seed inside those big sunflowers. Okay? Birds eat them. Okay? There's all kinds. So a lot of these things are eaten not by humans also, but by animals. So animals and humans can both live off of them. And so those are sunflower seeds. You've probably seen those before. Okay? Here's another one that's really interesting. Got to get real close on this one, Miss Christie. This is actually a pepper grinder. Okay, and I'm going to turn it just a little bit so you can see what's going on. Okay, those are seeds of pepper plants. Okay, and so here's what happens. When I love pepper on my food, and so I'll take that pepper and I'll grind it out. Look at that falling out on the plate there. And what it's doing is it's taking those seeds and it's grinding it into pepper. Now, you can have pepper like this, or you can have pepper in a shaker that you can shake pepper on your food because we use it as seasoning. But in this case, you can actually see the seeds that come from those plants. And as they do that, we can use it for seasoning. Here's another one that's a little bit different. These are called poppy seeds. Okay, poppy seeds are used, you'll see them on different kinds of muffins and things like this. Check out these little tiny seeds. Do you hear that? Wow, look how tiny those things are, okay? And so we use them for food, okay? So they're super, super tiny. So some seeds are a lot bigger than others. Sunflower seeds are bigger than those, aren't they? They all come from different plants. Plants provide us from their roots, their stems, their leaves. Sometimes it's going to be in the form of fruits, okay? Sometimes it's not a fruit. It's not a sweet, well, we think, I'm going to eat that like an apple, okay? But it's going to be something like peppers or things we cook with, okay? And actually what we can do, and Miss Christy and I just found these at the dollar store. You can grow different things. You can buy seeds. They're not very expensive, and you can grow those things. Now, you may think, you keep saying about food, about food, about food. Here's what I'm talking about. Check out all these things. These are things that I had and Miss Christy has sitting in her kitchen that she seasons with. Pickling spices, okay, Italian seasoning, lemon pepper, cayenne pepper. Woo! You'll be on fire. Ah, you're a dragon. Okay, those are hot. Woo, I can't eat much of that. Pumpkin spice. Oh, some of you like that in your latte. Okay, and where does that come from? Pumpkin spice comes from pumpkins. Okay, and this one is ground nutmeg. Oh, it doesn't come from pumpkin. Okay, it's just a spice seasoning. I don't know everything. I'm still learning. And so all these different plants that we can use for foods, everything from avocados to potatoes, there's all kinds of things. Here's your job, kids. I want you to help your mom, your dad, your grandma, whoever you live with. Help them make dinner. Help them make dinner sometime before we meet again. What spices do you use? What kinds of things do you use to cook with? At my house, we don't have ginger, but ginger's a root, and it's used to cook lots of really cool things. We just didn't happen to have any. So there's lots of different things. Talk about it. Maybe snap a picture. We cooked with this, and tell me what it is. Down in the bottom of this video, I'd love to see. Did you learn to cook something? Hey, when you cooked it, take a picture of what you did. Okay? Because you can cook too, kids. It's great to be a scientist. Some of the greatest scientists. You guys are going to be the new chefs. You're going to be the new cooks one day. You guys are going to have awesome things that you're going to do for this world. Chemistry, biology, all of this stuff. It's used in the lab called Miss Christie's Kitchen. And we do that. All right? So cook a meal. Find out some stuff that maybe I didn't even talk about. These were just the things around my house. You know what? We're having a great time at Mr. Patrick's Laboratory because it's all about science, science, science. Have a great meal time with your family, and we'll see you next time. Have a great one.